All right. So we're talking about spring applications for the Cal State. So you can apply for the application to all 23. So those are just some of the accolades things to think about. Obviously, Cal State is one of the biggest systems that's out there. There's a lot of options. I noticed I was looking at it with the student today. A lot of them are open for spring, so that's a good thing. You should be able to apply to many of them. So you can apply to all of them through the one application. So applications for spring 25, that's what this month is applying for. Opened August 1st and then they'll close August 31st, most of them, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. If you're looking at any online extension programs offered through their extension campuses, a lot of those will be extended into October and November, I notice. And then each application is $70. There is a fee waiver built into the application. So if you qualify for that, you'll get up to 4 applications for free. However, if you are applying to an extension campus, the waiver won't work. So just talk to us, and there's some things sometimes that we can do to help out. We have some vouchers if you're in line. All right, so looking at, are you eligible? Hopefully you've met with a counselor to verify that you're CSU eligible. It's a little trickier, a little different for spring because sometimes they have different timelines of when things need to be completed. So if you haven't done that, definitely try to check in with the counselor, make sure you're there. You guys are here, perfect. First workshop of the spring cycle. So you're attending the application workshop. And then of course you'll complete that online application. And then we really recommend that you have it reviewed. I know we're already booking up through the end of August. So I would just schedule an appointment with a counselor or get it on the books and then just have a plan to be completed by that deadline when you have that appointment. Just so we don't run out of appointments. But worst case, we can always do it on a drop-in if we have to. And you don't have to have it reviewed through us, the University Transfer Center. Sorry, I didn't even say, my name is Ashley Brackett, and I'm a counselor here in the University Transfer Center. So you don't have to do it with us if you're been seeing someone in EOPS or STEM Mesa or Trio or general counselor. Anybody can review it, but we do specialize, of course, in transfer here in the UTC. Like I said, applications, most of them are going to be due August 31st. And then it's really important that you're checking that email and staying in touch with the university, with us, University Transfer Center for next steps, but also checking that email because you're going to be getting a lot of communication from the universities that you apply to. And that's going to be their main form of communication. The basic minimum requirements that all of the CSUs are going to be expecting is a 2.0 CSU transferable GPA, and that says CSU transferable because not everything from Hancock is transferable, or maybe you have multiple transcripts from a lot of different universities. They're not all going to be necessarily transferable. So you want to make sure, and I'll show you in the application how you can check that, that you have at least a 2.0 within those units, and also the 60 transferable semester units. We make it really easy here at Hancock. Everything 100 level is transferable. So if you've only taken Hancock coursework, that's going to be super simple for you to figure out. And then you have to have at least completion of 30 units of general ed. So if you've been following this CSU general ed pattern or the GETSI, the UC one, you'll have that no matter what. Very rarely does somebody not have the 30 units. Chances are whatever you've already done, you have those 30 units. And then really important, you have to have completion of that golden core, which is your oral comm, so like speech, or communications 101, 102, or 106 here at Hancock. Your written communication, that's going to be English 101 here at Hancock, or if you did an AP English Language Lit. The critical thinking, that will be our English 103, philosophy 112 or 114, or speech 106, or comm 106. And then your B4 math, that's going to be any transferable math course. So anything we want to do of our math options. Those you have to have no matter what with this year better. You'll notice at the top there, it says completion timeline will vary depending on the CSU campus. And what I mean by that is if you were fall admissions, you just have to have everything done by the end of that spring. There you go. When it comes to spring admissions, some campuses require all of this that you see to be completed by the end of summer, so right now. So it does not allow you to be in progress with whatever's required in the fall before you start in the spring. That's not every campus, there's just some out there, and so you want to make sure you meet the eligibility by their timeline. Some of them, it's just you have to have the golden 4 done by the end of summer, and then you have to wait in the fall to hit your 60 units, or some of them you have to have the 60 units and the golden 4, and then if you're in major prep in the fall, it'll be okay. So that really is just varies on campuses. So make sure you're double checking their admission websites for spring entry, and we can help you do that if you need to, you know, drop in, or we can do an appointment, if you need to look through those kind of eligibility requirements. Okay, the other thing you want to, well, ask a counselor, but also ask yourself, are you going to be earning an associate degree for transfer? Most people know this at this point, but if you're unsure, you can check your degree works, and you can look and see if you're on track for that. And then this link here, which is also linked from our University Transfer Center webpage. It's the associate degree for transfer major and campus search. So you can look and see, I'm getting the AJ degree, the transfer degree from Hancock, and I'm applying to Dominion Hills, Fresno, Bakersfield, for example, you put as many as you want in. This website will let you know if those universities have a similar degree to ours, and that just means that it's accepted there. If it doesn't align, then that's okay. Just know that you're not going to get the benefit from ADT. This is also a way to see, you know, who offers what ADTs we have and what they're, as you can see here, it's kind of interesting. Our AJ degree links to anthropology at Humboldt. That's unique. So sometimes you can look and see what is going to be a match for that associate degree for trans. All right. And then you want to be looking at, have I completed the necessary classes to make them competitive? So are there major classes that are required? Not all campuses require a major prep to be done. Some do, or do they require the ADT degree? How am I looking on my general ed? And of course, do I have the 60 units? Is my major impacted? I'm not going to link to that because it's just a website, and you can get the PowerPoint from us if you need it, where you can look and see impaction lists for all the CSUs, and that just means there are more people applying than there are spaces for at that campus or within that major, which just means that it's a little more competitive. Maybe they're requiring a higher GPA than the minimum 2.0. Maybe they're requiring certain major prep to be done. Maybe they're requiring a certain GPA within the major prep. And that, you don't have to know that, you know, it's impacted, but it's helpful more so you know if you meet minimum requirements, but also to have a variety. I always say, if you're applying to a bunch of impacted campuses, it's good to have kind of a backup option with not impacted that you are going to get in from minimum admissions just in case. So it's just nice to know that. So if you meet admissions, we're going to go through what all of the information that you need to know. So like I said, August 1st through 31st is the timeline, although some are extended. So when we go to the Cal State Apply, which I'll get to show you guys, there's a way that you can look at deadlines. I'll show you that from that website. To complete your application, you're going to need a copy of your Hancock transcript or any other colleges that you've attended, any other universities. A copy of those. It doesn't have to be official, but something that has the courses on there. And then if you took any AP scores and passed them, only ones that you got a 3 or better, that will all be, you will load all of that into the application. Social security number, if you have one, it'll ask for that. If you don't, it's something you can leave off. If you do have one, I recommend that you put it on the application because it'll help to link to your financial aid and just make it more smooth. Citizenship status, it'll ask about that. Annual income, you'll need your parents if you are dependent. If you're born after January 1st, 2001, supposed to remember your spring transfer, so you're still on the 24-25 FAFSA or DREAM Act. And so parents, if you're after that date, and then yourself, if independent, if you were born before that date. And then on the next slide, I'll show you some other reasons why you might be independent. You will have to pay, like I said, that $70 per application. So they only take credit card or PayPal at this point. If you're eligible for the fee waiver and not applying for more than 4, then you won't need to pay anything. It'll be free. And then I'll ignore the EOP applicants because they don't do EOP or spring entry. To my knowledge, we'll look and see if we even have it open, but to my knowledge, they only do that for fall. And then these are the other reasons why you potentially might be considered independent. So obviously that date. So basically that's looking at, are you over the age of 24 or will you be by the end of December 31st? If you're a current active duty member or veteran, if as of today you're married, if you have children or dependents or will, between that time frame, if you have guardianship over somebody else, you're helping to take care of them more than 50%. If you were ever in foster care or board of the court, and then of course the date for the shelter. Those would be the only other reasons why you might be independent in terms of financial aid status. Otherwise, you do have to have your parents' income and information when it comes to financial aid. On this application, it's going to ask you just very few questions, and that's just to determine the fee waiver. So if you kind of don't have an exact idea, that's okay. For FAFSA or DREAM Act, obviously, you want exact numbers. So when you go in to Cal State Apply, this is what the homepage will look like. Obviously, right there with the whole fall, but you'll select spring 2025. This is where I was talking about. You can select application dates and deadlines. You can see who's open there, and then it will show you the deadline. So some have a September or even October deadline to give you a little bit more time. And you can always apply to some now that have maybe the August 31st deadline, and then come back and decide to apply to other ones at a later date. You can definitely do that. If you applied, let's say you applied for last fall and you're reapplying, you could it'll ask you, like, do you want to start reapplication? And then it'll kind of pull in a lot of your data. If you're starting fresh, obviously you'll just enter everything. But to my knowledge, it's all been working pretty good. This was a little newer in the last couple of years. And so if you've applied before, it should pull up that. If you applied as a freshman, sometimes the system will be a little wonky, but you just have to make sure you go in and put yourself as a transfer status. So you can choose if you want to copy the data over, or if you want to start a fresh application. If you have never applied, then you're going to create an account and then put in your personal information, all the things. Make sure you try to use your personal email. Otherwise, if you have applied before, username and password. If you applied and you forgot your password, I would just try to do the forgot username or password instead of trying to do a new account, because that can get really, really hard. In your profile, when you're creating your profile, it's going to ask you how your degree goal. So you're all going to be first bachelor's degrees. If you are a second bachelor's degree, make sure you talk to one of us. That might be a little bit different. And then everybody should be transferring one of these options. So whether you're transferring and earning or planning to earn an associate degree for transfer, that will make a difference because then you have to report it. Or you're transferring without. So remember, the degree is not required. So make sure that's why it's so important to know if you're going to be earning one of those ABTs. It's not a huge deal if you report that you're going to, and then you're ending up that you're not going to. It's just that it can confuse some of the campuses, and some of them it might be a stipulation of the admission. So try to be accurate in that. So just double check with one of us if you're on track to pick that. If you accidentally select the graduating high school senior, it will limit your options. You'll see that there's not a lot open, and then it will, how you'll know if you accidentally did this, when you get to the academic section, it's going to be asking for the high school classes. It should not ask for your high school classes if you're truly a transfer student. All right, after creating your account and profile, you'll have to select one program to get it going, and I'll show you right now where that's going to be. And then, like I said, you can check that dates and deadlines link to see who's accepting. In the spring, not everybody's open. Although I checked, and I wouldn't say just about every campus except for Cal Poly Slow, maybe one other, we're not open, or we're open, but some of them only certain majors. And then you can add other programs anytime. So you just want to get your one application going, and then you can always come back and add other schools with your major at different times. And then I'll show you kind of what to look for here for the extension. Just be careful. that if you don't want to be applying for an online or extension campus program, because those are usually more expensive, make sure you're double checking and you're not applying to the wrong campus. So this is what it looks like. The very first time you'll get to this screen, you can search for a program, you can do filters, you can filter it by location, whether you want online, main campus, face-to-face, you can filter it by degree, you can filter it by campus. So this is an old screenshot, but then once you have one that you want to do, you can check it, and then it'll let you move on to the next page. If you decide it's okay. If you decide you pick the wrong one and you need to go back and delete it later, you totally can. So that you're not stuck in that option. So this is just showing how you can search by a major. And I'll log into the cost program and show you. As I mentioned, if you select that you're getting an ADT, then you'll have to select Allen Hancock College or whatever community college you might be earning your ADT from, and then it'll ask you what major. You can do a second one. Some people I know get like an AJ and a psych, or math and physics. You can report multiple ADTs. And if you're ever wondering what majors we offer in ADTs, it'll actually be on this list. You're going to do the drop down and see it, but you can also go to our website. So you will have to apply if you're on track to get that in the fall. You'll need to, I would apply soon. I would do it like as soon as classes start this month or early September, just to make sure that you get that degree application in. You counselor just has to submit it for you. You just talk to any counselor, you can even do it on a drop-in and get that application submitted. And this is just showing where you can select that second one if you want to. Most people are only getting one. The only thing you make sure you have to put in here is your H number, your student ID from us. Don't worry about your California Community College ID. Most people don't know that. No big deal if you don't. And then you would anticipate, let's say you're getting it this fall, be December 2024. Or if you already got it, then you'll be able to put it in when you got it last night. This could pop up. Remember, I showed you that matching website of who has a similar degree. If you're applying to multiple campuses, there's a good chance your ADT won't be accepted at all of them, meaning that campus may not have a similar degree to ours. That's okay. It's just going to pop up as a warning to you like this. And they're just saying, are you sure you're okay? You still want to apply to this campus? Again, you can still apply. Nothing says that it prevents you from applying to that campus. It just means that the ADT and their program don't align. So the perks, benefits that come with the ADT, you will not get. So a bump in your GPA when you're applying. Guarantee that once you transfer in, you have to complete, or they have to make sure you complete in no more than 60 more units. There's no guarantees of that. Some of them have priority registration. So you just won't get those benefits at the school if you end up going to that campus. And then once you have applied for your ADT, our admissions and records office will verify to all of your CSUs that you're on track to get that ADT, because you'll get this notification in your portals once you've applied, or like within a month or so, saying, do you have verification, or you need to send us verification of your ADT. You don't need to do anything but apply. And as long as you apply for your degree with the counselor, our admissions office will do that and verify for you. That's why it's so important to apply early on. And then eventually it'll pop up in this check status page where you can see it is verified. That's only if you're getting one of those ADTs. Citizenship residency, the important thing to note on this page is if you are an AB 540 student, you want to select none. That's what's going to trigger it to know that you're a non-resident, but you're getting in-state fees. So make sure that you do it that way. You don't select. You select your country of citizenship and then you select none. It'll have other options. I forget. It has a couple of different other non-resident options. If you're one of those, obviously put it there. But if you're AB 540, select none. And then no matter what, make sure you claim California residency. So some students will think, well, I'm saying I'm not a citizen, so they'll say no to California residency. That just means that you live here in California. That's going to ensure that you're not charged out of state fees. You want to be charged in California, and then you would just put when you begin your stay in California. That's on that for you. Another area where sometimes alerts pop up household size requirement. So if you say that you're a dependent, so remember you're under your parents maybe, you need to make sure it'll alert you if you only put a household size of 1, right? So there's got to be at least 2 of you. So it'll just say, are you sure this is right? And then same thing with the household income when that area is asking you for income, taxable and untaxable income. Sometimes students will accidentally put the same number in both, which is actually doubling your income. Let's say you make $30,000 a year, and then you're thinking, oh, they're just asking me that again, and over 30, that's putting it at 60, right, instead of 30. Untaxable income is completely different. That would be other income that you're not taxed on. Most people don't have that. It's pretty rare. I would just say most people don't. So chances are that's going to be a 0 for you, but you can look at your taxes and see. And there's the instructions in the help center. If you have any questions, or you can see there, have a click here to learn more if you're unsure of what your income should be looking at, your tax versus untaxed. Adding colleges and universities. This is going to be the biggest bulk of your, adding colleges and then adding your academics of your application. That's going to take the most time. So you'll just, if you're Allen Hancock College, it'll be easy to start typing it in. It'll pull it up, you select it. Did you obtain or are you planning to get a degree? If you're not, no, or semester system, but obviously if it's a quarter system, you put that in, and then what kind of tuition that you're. This is only really going to be applicable if you are at an out-of-state college. And then you'll put your first semester, and then if you're in your last semester, just click that box if you're in the fall. So you want to look at your transcript and see the very first. And if you took classes while you were in high school, make sure you date it back to whatever time you started in high school, because it won't let you put classes in if you don't start in that first fall, spring, or summer term. This is what the dashboard looks like. So I like to work through personal information, then go academic history, then supporting, then program materials. But you can always come back here to my application to get to this homepage to kind of click through the different areas. This is where we go add additional programs when you want to add another school major, and then here's where you'll go when you're ready to submit. But you can go to that page anytime if you just want to see an overview of the campuses that you have on your list that you've selected, and then check status. That'll be once you submit, making sure everything went through, or where you can check the verification of your APT if you're getting it. Coursework entry. Really, really important that you enter all colleges and universities attended, including international, non-accredited. If you went to like a cooking school, whatever, you need to report that you went there. But you will not enter coursework if you went to an international institution, only for our local in the United States. All coursework should be entered. So if you took non-credit classes, or you took a non-transferable class here or somewhere else, you will enter every single class that you've taken semester by semester. When you're entering grades, if you repeated a class, let's say you got an F, and then you repeated it later, you'll put RP instead of the F. You don't want to report that F is counting because it's no longer counting. If you did an academic renewal, you'll put AR in place of that. If you think that you want to apply for an academic renewal, make sure that you meet with one of us counselors so that we can process that for you so that it's cleared out of your GPA by the time you submit your application. If you got a withdrawal, put a W. If it was non-transferable, put it in. Everything that's on your transcript, it should look exactly like that. Mine is putting the RP in. If you're currently repeating a course, let's say you didn't pass a class last spring and you're going to be taking that class again in the fall, you will have to put the D or F in that original grade, but then you'll show that you're repeating it this fall. So you'll have that option to show it. This is what it will look like for every adding coursework. You'll add the very first term. Let's say you did it while you were in high school in 2015. Freshman, you'll always put freshman for your first 30-ish units. Don't worry too much about this. The trick is you don't want to ever do junior and senior. There's a junior senior option, but you only should have freshman and sophomore year classes with us, because remember, you won't be junior standing until you get to the university. So even if you've been with us 3, 4, 5 years, kind of do your first year as freshman, and then everything else be sophomore status. And then you'll put completed because if you already have a grade in the class. And then as you start typing in the ENG, it'll give you a drop down and then you can select the class you want. If your class is non-transferable, it's not going to populate, so you'll just have to manually enter it. Don't worry too much about the subject area. Most of them align, like English, math, it'll be there. But sometimes there'll be stuff that it doesn't seem like there's a subject that matches. Just do the best you can. They're not really looking at that. They're really looking at the units and the grade and that you meet certain requirements. So you can always do special topics there if you need to. And then you'll go across, tab through, put the grade in. And then if it is a transferable class, it usually will check this box for you. If for some reason it's not, if it's a 100 level class, check that box. And then you will just save for that term, and then you would go in and add, you can add a new course, or then you can add a new term if you're going to have like next spring 16, right? If you're going to do that there. You can always delete, edit classes all the way up until you submit. If you took any AP exams, again, that you passed, only a 3 or higher, then there'll be a drop-down menu on this page where you can say which exam you did. And then don't worry about the AP ID. Most people don't know that. Only the little red asterisks are what you're going to absolutely have to do. And then you put the date. Most people don't know their exact date. If you have a copy of your AP exam, of course, you can put in a date. If not, I think most people take them in April, May. You just put April, May, and then you would save the test, or you need to add your. So that's where you'll enter the AP. I had mentioned earlier figuring out your transferable GPA. So once you enter all of your coursework, as long as you've checked that it's only as smart as you enter. So as long as you've checked all your classes as transferable, that should be, you'll be able to hit this little calculate button, and it'll give you your transfer GPA and then how many units you have up to date. So that transfer credit hours, and then how many quality points is just what they just want your GPA off of. I don't know about that. But knowing the GPA is helpful, and knowing what your units say. And you can continue to come back and recalculate that if you add more classes or if you want to change anything. That's just for your knowledge to see what they're going to be seeing on their end in terms of GPA. So this is where you, once you get to this is once you enter colleges, you'll go in your edit, and that's where you add all of your semesters. Once you're done, you would just put yes to that transcript completion, and then you save it. No big deal if you save it and then later you're like, oh, I messed something up or I need to fix something. You can always come back and edit if you need to change anything, as long as you have not submitted an application. Once you submit your first one, nothing can be changed in terms of this. And then you can always preview your transcript if you don't need to make edits. If you just want to verify some stuff, it'll give you this review of it. That's under the coursework entry. For general education, it's checking for that golden 4 that I mentioned in the beginning. So it can check for the oral com, written, critical thinking. If you had any AP scores for basically just your English or your math in this section, as long as you put it in the AP section, this says course entry, that's good. Now the admission updated that. It's now in that AP section. It'll automatically give you that option in the drop down. So this part is only as good as what you've entered. So you want to enter all of your coursework first, and then usually it'll auto populate here. But if it's not for some reason, just drop down menu and find the class that should be in that section. If you're not sure what should be in that section, check with the counselor so you can verify. Opt-out is very, very going to be very rare. Usually only if you're an engineering major, they'll maybe let you opt out of critical thinking. Or if you're going in as a lower division transfer, so you have been about less than 60 units, there are some campuses that allow for that. If they do, you don't necessarily have to have every golden 4 included. Again, we want to look at minimum admissions for the campuses that you're applying to and make sure you meet this part. I'm not going to worry about this page just because this is the EOP and that's not the spring entry. Supporting information, I'll have to get in there and see what's in there for the spring entry. And there's any veterans in the, there'll be a section just for uploading your copy of your DB 214. So make sure that you have that in hand. If for any reason you are using military credit to meet the 60 units, pretty rare. I think most veterans have better than the 60. But if you need it to get to that total 60, make sure this is how you would enter it. Military, DD 214, special topics, and how many units with credit that you put into there. Again, super rare. I think, on that. The program material section is going to vary depending on the campuses that you have checked off. If you're only applying to one campus and there's nothing to do in that area, it might green check already. If there are questions that they're asking, or they want you to upload a transcript or a personal statement, super rare that would happen. But maybe it's a specialized program that wants you to write something or verify that you have certain major prep classes. That will all be in that quadrant 4 with the program materials. And then it will kind of show that you haven't completed it if you haven't answered questions to maybe one of the campuses and all the others. It would be in there. So sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's a little bit, and sometimes there's a lot of things that are asking for. It really just depends on the campus. This is just an example of what one of them might look like. Here, you would answer the questions that they have, and then maybe there's some recommendations that you can upload. That's what we do. And then sometimes it'll just, this one's not put on the homepage, but sometimes it'll just tell you about the program that you're applying to and maybe have a link to that program. Really just depends. Sometimes they'll ask about, actually this area I've noticed is asking about housing a lot. How are you planning to live on your campus? And that's how they'll kind of determine if your financial aid will be looking at all your campus. So do make sure if you're all considering on campus, even if you're not sure, check on campus for now. You can always decide to live off later, but you really want your financial aid to come through as on campus to see what kind of funding it is as a priority, if you're at all considering. In the top right area, your name will be there with your CASID. If you need to make any changes to this, often this happens when a student doesn't report an ADT and then realizes they are getting it, or vice versa, they've reported an ADT but they're not getting it. You can go into that extended profile and make those changes. Or if you accidentally reported yourself as a freshman instead of a transfer applicant, that extended profile is where you can make those changes. Once you submit, you can't make any changes to that. So again, make sure everything's reviewed before you hit that final submit on the. This is what the submit page looks like, so you can see a view of the campuses that you've selected. If you don't have everything done in the application, maybe you're missing one of the quadrants or you didn't put in income or whatever, this won't be green checked. Actually, this must not be done because there's no submit button. That would be blue, allowing you to submit, and it'll be fully done. So it'll kind of go along the line depending on how close you are. And then it'll show you the program, when the deadline might be, and then I'll show you up close the fee waiver. If you decide you don't want to apply to, you add a 5 and now you're going to 4, you can always delete programs from this page. So that's on the submit application page. And you won't, even when you go to hit submit, it'll still have you check, verify a couple things before it really goes through. So this is a kind of a larger view of that page. That's where you would be in this section. It'll have your campuses you're applying to. And this is where you can see your fee waiver status. If it has the 4 spring, 404, that means you got it. You got 4 applications for free. If you are not eligible, it'll say, sorry, you're not eligible, and how will explain information about it. You could submit applications one at a time, or if you're all ready, you can submit them all at the same time. And this is just what it will look like if you do qualify for the fee waiver. It's going to show you, like, it's going to pull it off and cross it out. If, of course, you're applying to 5 schools, then you'll have to pay 70 for one. If you're just doing 4, you have the fee waiver. And then this is just what it would look like. If you have to pay, you can either pay now or credit card. Oh, we can do an e-check. Just not them. They used to be able to get them in the e-check. That's just what that page will look like. Same thing, that fee waiver. If you are an EOPS student or you ever were, it should automatically be giving you 4 for free. If for some reason it's not, make sure you talk to the EOPS here on campus. And then, like I said before, if you're in any kind of financial issues, having any problems paying for your applications, talk to one of us in the transfer center, and we have some waivers and some things that we want to issue. And then this is that check status page. Got that last button on the top where you'll be able to see, so this says pending verification. Once it's verified, it will say verified, and then it's also going to show, say I didn't submit this application yet. Once it's submitted, you'll see it'll say submitted. I highly recommend after you submit your application, double check that this page shows that they've been submitted. The verification of submitting, I have had students very rarely, but it has happened in the past when they thought they submitted and then it rolled around to the one where they haven't heard anything, but it's past the deadline and they realize the in-person. Just double check here on this check status. And then of course you can sign out from here. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If you go to your name, when you do that drop down, it goes to that extended profile if you need to make any changes. Some important reminders. Schedule that application review appointment now, and I'll show you on our website where you can do that. Try to get in so that you have it before the end of the month. Check your email often, especially right after you submit your application. You should be getting verification of the application being submitted. And because it's spring, it's usually a pretty quick turnaround where they will start having you take steps like creating a portal for that campus, sending transcripts. A lot of times they're due by early to mid-September. So you want to be checking that email, creating that portal, and then logging into that university's portal because you'll have a to-do list of things that you'll need to follow. I recommend you keep I know nowadays maybe not a paper file, but even an email kind of folder where you're dropping all your university communications into that university or transfer file. So you know where to go if you need to go and find a password or a login or communications from Fullerton or Channel Islands or wherever you're applying. It's always good to keep a copy of your unofficial transcript, keep a copy of if you do print out or save a PDF shot of submitting your application. And then next steps is actually on our website, and I'll show you what that is too. And of course, knowing any dates when the deadline.